Welcome back to Sports Love Media on YouTube. It's your guy Sports Love. I am broadcasting live on, from Hansville, Alabama. We were talking college football, the top 25 picks, my perspective for Week 8 games, and somehow I managed to get cut off of the stream from while we were still talking, and I do apologize for that. So this will be part 2, and we'll just pick up where we left off on that. So, can y'all hear me out there in YouTube land? I do apologize for the technical issues that was going on. I didn't realize it was that bad until it literally cut me off the stream. So I do apologize for that. So we'll just resume where we left off. Next game we're going to look at this week is number 5, Ole Miss versus number 9, Georgia. In this game, the pros favor Georgia to defeat Ole Miss by 7.5 or 8 points. The over-under is 54.5 or 55. Georgia, in their last game, offensively seemed to struggle. They had a hard time getting ahead until late in the game. So despite doing well on passing and rushing, I will rank below average due to struggle, which should not have happened. Defense is average, but needs work on holding the line. Ole Miss, the last couple of weeks, has also struggled to get things done. Despite winning last week, almost lost the game due to offense getting shut down, so below average there. Defense was average for most of the game, but fell flat to below average when the defense faltered late in the game. I think both teams are having a struggle, and it's hard to get away from. To me, both teams seem to be equally matched, but I have to make a decision. For these reasons, I agree with the pros having Georgia to win over Ole Miss, but I disagree with the margin of victory. My prediction is that Georgia defeats Ole Miss by 3 points. I will go over the 55. Can y'all hear me out there in YouTube land? I do apologize for the issues, and I hope that y'all will rejoin me. The next game we're going to look at this week is number 7, Texas Tech versus Arizona State. In this game, the pros favor Texas Tech to defeat Arizona State by 11.5 or 12 points. The over-under is 48.5 or 49. Arizona State in their game last week had terrible offense due to lackluster rushing and passing on the offense. Defense was also terrible due to lack of red zone protection and letting other teams score way too many points. Red zone protection early was okay, but went from good to bad to awful, especially when other team was scoring at will. Texas Tech is playing lights out on both offense and defense. It's stellar on both sides for offense and defense. The same performance will continue for both sides this week. So for these reasons, I will agree with the pros on this game. Texas Tech defeats Arizona State by 12 points. I will go over the 49. All right. Next game we're going to look at this week is number 22, Memphis versus UAB. In this game, the pros favor Memphis to defeat UAB by 20.5 or 21 points. The over-under is 63.5 or 64. UAB last week had terrible defense, allowing so many points to be scored and for not executing pass plays well. The rush was okay at times, but mainly below average due to not getting much going there. Defense sucked in everything from protecting the line and perimeter little to zero red zone protection and not doing well in communication. For UAB, I see this trend continuing this week. Memphis is very good within their conference. Offense is above average in both rushing and passing. Defense knows how to keep teams out of the red zone, so above average there. What Magic UAB has is deflated and gone due to coaching changes and possible transfers. Not really much else to say on this game. For these reasons, I'm going to agree with the pros on who wins the game, but I disagree on the margin of victory. My prediction is that Memphis will defeat UAB by 14 points. I will go under the 64. Next game we're going to look at this week is number 8, Oregon versus Rutgers. In this game, the pros favor Oregon to defeat Rutgers by 17.5 or 18 points. The over-under is 60.5 or 61. Rutgers football, I would not say they suck, but it's fair to say right now they are doing terrible. Offense lacks urgency and is below average due to not executing plays well on rush or pass plays. Defense is there sometimes, but mostly not, which makes them awful. Rutgers has two common denominators. One is 28, which is how many points Rutgers scored in losing 2 games back-to-back. The other is 38, which represents how the other teams did in defeating Rutgers with points they scored. This trend with Rutgers is likely to continue this week. Hang on just a moment. We got a train coming and I can't hear, so hang on. I do apologize for the delays. Oregon looks to snap back after losing last week. With exception of last week, Oregon has been very good on offense and defense in all areas. Last week, offense was average in that they did what they could against a tough team in the run and pass. They need work, but will get it done. Defense had issues with protecting the red zone. Everything else looked okay, so it puts their defense below average. Oregon is out for blood and will play on all cylinders. Oregon is better than Rutgers. For these reasons, I will agree with the pros on this one. Oregon defeats Rutgers by 18. I will go under the 61. Hello, Bartos. Hello, Samantha. I appreciate y'all joining me today for this part 2 of the college football live stream. All right, next game we will look at this week is number 18 versus Washington State. In this game, the pros favor Virginia to win the game over Washington State by 17.5 or 18 points. Washington State played sloppy in their last game early, but got better as game went on. They almost beat a top 5 ranked team. Despite losing, it is above average effort on defense. On offense, it was okay, but they need work on running the ball effectively. This close loss will give Washington State motivation, which I believe will translate into closer game than most realize. Virginia had a struggle win last week. A win is a win, but still the struggle was there and it is real. I actually think that I think this too will show up this weekend and could be a deciding factor in this game. Offense was average due to winning, but having issues within red zone on offense, that being inside the 20-yard line. Defense is okay, but needs work protecting the line. For these reasons, I'm going to agree with the pros in having Virginia win this game, but I disagree on the margin of victory. My prediction is that it will be a very close game. Virginia wins the game by 4 points over Washington State. The over-under is 56.5 or 57. I will go over the 57. Next game we're going to look at this week is number 21, Texas versus Kentucky. In this game, the pros favor Texas to defeat Kentucky by 12.5 or 13 points. The over-under is 43.5 or 44. Kentucky last week was below average in offense due to losing the game. It also was below average due to inefficient rushing and passing. The defense was flat and came in below average due to losing the game and for poor red zone protection. I see similar things happening for Kentucky in their game this week versus Texas. 35 is common denominator in 2 back-to-back losses where the other team scored 35 points. Texas did superb in all areas on offense, especially in the rushing. Defense was stellar in preventing other teams from scoring much. Good execution all around. This will continue this week for Texas. And for these reasons, there's really not much else to say on this game, so I will agree with the pros on this game. Texas defeats Kentucky by 13 points. I'll go over the 44. Next game we're going to look at this week is number 6, Alabama versus number 11, Tennessee. In this game, the pros favor Alabama to defeat Tennessee by 8.5 or 9 points. The over-under is 58.5 or 59. Tennessee on offense did above average, especially in the run game. Passing is needing work to be more effective. Defense was below average because of the opponent almost winning the game. They held the line at perimeter good, but they do need to work on red zone protection. Alabama also had a struggle with with who they played last week. Offense looked good on the rush game, but had some issues in the pass game. This makes offense slightly below average. Defense did a great job until late in the game to stop Missouri from winning. Missouri didn't win. Somehow it went flat, and it almost cost them the game, so below average there. I think the struggle is real for both teams and may very well come down to who has the ball at the very end of the football game. For these reasons, I do agree with the pros on Alabama winning the game, but I disagree on the margin of victory. My prediction is that Alabama wins by 6 points. I will go over the 59. Oh, hello, Samantha. I'm glad that you are here. Thank you for joining me, Samantha Glover. I'm sorry I didn't see you until just now, so I thank you for joining me today. All right, next game we're going to look at this week is number 13, Notre Dame versus number 20, USC. In this game, the pros favor Notre Dame to defeat USC by 8.5 or 9 points. The over-under is 61.5 or 62. USC last week looks average in all areas of offense, short pass, and the same on defense. Actually, the rush or pass, I'm sorry, that's what they were average in. The defense was average also for how well they held the line, the perimeter, and protected the red zone. USC is known for passing game with help from rush when needed. The same holds true this week for USC. I'm not sure if USC average will be able to beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame did stellar job in all areas of offense and even better in defense, which helped them to win. They need to work on executing plays faster, but the way it's being done will continue, and it will continue to work for their advantage. 7 is a common denominator for Notre Dame. In 2 back-to-back games in which Notre Dame won, the other team only managed to score 7 points both times. So with these thoughts, I will agree with the pros on this game. Notre Dame wins the game by 9 points. I will go under the 62. I do believe both teams will score, but I don't know if they'll score that many points. All right. Next game we're going to look at this week is number 19, South Florida versus Florida Atlantic. In this game, the pros favor South Florida to defeat Florida Atlantic by 21.5 or 22 points. Okay, sorry about that. I know I've had some connection issues. I apologize for that. South Florida in their last game did above average on offense by scoring as much as they did. The run and pass game have no issues. The only issues I'm seeing is trying to play up-tempo too much. Yes, it has paid off for them. Doing this too often can lead to carelessness. If done properly, it won't be issued. They just have to do it right, which is how this game seems likely to do for South Florida. Defense was average and needs minor tweaking of how they handle red zone protection, the line, and the perimeter. This area should be fine, but I still stand by the fact it needs minor tweaking. South Florida will be Batman, and Florida Atlantic is a Joker. Between Batman and Joker, Batman always wins one way or another. With these thoughts, I will agree with the pros for this game. South Florida defeats Florida Atlantic by 22 points. I will go under the 74. Next game we're going to look at this week, will be number 16, Missouri versus Auburn. In this game, the pros favor Missouri to defeat Auburn by 1.5 or 2 points. The over-under is 44.5 or 45. Auburn offense last week game sucked badly last week in all areas of rushing and passing. Defense was barely flat, but is below average due to having the opponent win the game. There was little to zero perimeter protection and line protection. Red zone protection was okay, but still defense was bad. Historically, Auburn has had good defense. It just hasn't showed up very much lately. 10 is the common denominator in 2 games back-to-back losing effort, scoring points each time. That's how many points they scored both times. Missouri offense is decent and is slightly above average in passing and in the run game. Despite losing, I placed defense at slightly above average despite losing since they were able to force turnovers. I think Missouri is better than Auburn, but because of the defense from both sides, it could really make the game look almost too close to call. Despite this, I will agree with the pros on this game. Missouri defeats Auburn by 2 points. I will go over the 45. It literally will come down to who has the ball toward the very end of the game, and in this case, I believe it will be Missouri. All right. I do apologize for the technical issues I'm having, so we're just going to continue doing the stream as best we can. Let's see. The next game we're going to look at this week, I'm calling it the Battle for Utah. The Battle of Utah has number 15, BYU, going up against number 23, Utah. In this game, the pros favored Utah to defeat BYU by 3.5 or 4 points. The over-under is 49.5 or 50. Utah had above-average performance on offense, being able to pass some rushing. Utah will run the ball, but is known for passing more often than rushing. Defense was decent on all levels, including the line, the perimeter, and adequate red zone protection. Utah is not patient in trying to get down the field, and in that, I believe that will bite them and cause them to lose to BYU. BYU had slightly above average performance in offense with a mix of good rushing and passing. Defense did okay for the game. They started strong but fell a little flat toward the end, but did average due to the flat finish, but almost losing the game. They need to do better protecting the line. BYU is patient and that has helped them get it done to winning games. I believe the same type of play will offer similar results. With these thoughts, I will disagree completely with the pros on this game. My thoughts are that BYU wins the game as underdog over Utah by 2 points. I will go over the 50. All right, the last game within the top 25 we will look at this week is number 24, Cincinnati versus Oklahoma State. In this game, the pros favor Cincinnati to defeat Oklahoma State by 22.5 or 23 points. The over-under is 57.5 or 58. Oklahoma State last week was terrible on offense. They could not get anything done on offense. The rush stunk to the end of the universe, and passing was non-existent. Defense was a joke with nothing to defend. The poor style of play, sadly, will continue this week for Oklahoma State. Cincinnati had average week in offense and defense, average passing and rushing. It needs to work. They need to work on and improve in order to get things done. Defense needs to work on line protection. In short, Cincinnati average will do a lot more than usual versus Oklahoma State. For these reasons, I'm going to agree with the pros on this game. Cincinnati defeats Oklahoma State by 23 points. I will go over the 58. All right, now it's time for a segment in this live stream that I like to call the Game of Intrigue. In this Game of Intrigue, neither team is in the top 25. I will do what I can to find things relating both schools, which can be sports related or not. And after seeing the relation, we will do just like the top 25 teams. We will look at what Vegas says the margin of victory will be and the over-under. And if I agree or disagree with the pros, I will do the best I can to explain my reasoning. So the Game of Intrigue this week is Georgia State versus Georgia Southern. Again, both of the teams are not in the top 25. Let's see. Both teams are from the state of Georgia. Both schools have strong emphasis on research. Both schools have been around for at least 65 years, even if they've been known by different school names. Both schools are part of the Sun Belt Conference. In this game, the pros favor Georgia Southern to defeat Georgia State by 6.5 or 7 points. The over-under is 61.5 or 62. Georgia Southern on offense and defense both are below average and not able to do much. The run and pass game need work, and in defense, the red zone protection is just not there. Georgia State is practically in the same boat. No need to really rehash that. There's really not much else to say on this game. Both teams seem to have sometimes good special teams. For these reasons, I'm going to agree with the pros in this game. Georgia Southern defeats Georgia State by 7 points. I will go under the 62. So now that we've gone through the top 25 analysis and looked at the Game of Intrigue, let's do a quick summary. All right, in that quick summary, let's go over who is in the AP poll top 25 to start with. In the AP poll top 25, you have number 1, Ohio State, number 2, Miami and Florida, number 3, Indiana, number 4, Texas A&M, number 5, Ole Miss, number 6, Alabama, number 7, Texas Tech, number 8, Oregon, number 9, Georgia, number 10, LSU, number 11, Tennessee, number 12, Georgia Tech, number 13, Notre Dame, number 14, Oklahoma, number 15, BYU, number 16, Missouri, number 17, Vanderbilt, number 18, Virginia, number 19, South Florida, number 20, USC, number 21, Texas, number 22, Memphis, number 23, Utah, number 24, Cincinnati, and number 25, Nebraska. Now, here are the matchups again for the top 25 for Week 8 college football for the games October 14th through 19th of 2025. Number 2, Miami versus Louisville, which will be played October 17th, 2025. You have number 25, Nebraska versus Minnesota. That game will also be played October 17th of 2025. All other games for discussion within the top 25 will be played on October 18th of 2025. More matchups include number 10, LSU versus number 17, Vanderbilt, number 12, Georgia Tech versus Duke, number 14, Oklahoma versus South Carolina, number 1, Ohio State versus Wisconsin, number 3, Indiana versus Michigan State, number 4, Texas A&M versus Arkansas, number 5, Ole Miss versus number 9, Georgia, number 7, Texas Tech versus Arizona State, number 22, Memphis versus UAB, number 8, Oregon versus Rutgers, number 18, Virginia versus Washington State, number 21, Texas versus Kentucky, number 6, Alabama versus number 11, Tennessee, number 13, Notre Dame versus number 20, USC, number 19, South Florida versus Florida Atlantic, number 15, BYU versus number 23, Utah, number 24, Cincinnati versus Oklahoma State, number 16, Missouri versus Auburn, and the game of intrigue that we just went over, even though it was brief, Georgia State versus Georgia Southern. Now, let's look at who else will be playing in college football this week that is not going to have additional analysis. On October 14th, 2025, which will be today, you have New Mexico State versus Liberty, Arkansas State versus South Alabama, Florida International versus Western Kentucky. Tomorrow, October 15th, you have Delaware versus Jacksonville State, and you have UTEP versus Sam Houston. On Thursday, October 16th, you'll have Tulsa versus East Carolina. Other games on October 17th include San Jose State versus Utah State. North Carolina versus California. All other games I'll mention will take place on October 18th of 2025. You have Washington versus Michigan, UConn versus Boston College, Arizona versus Houston, Baylor versus TCU. You have Army versus Tulane. You have Central Michigan versus Bowling Green, Eastern Michigan versus the University of Miami in Ohio. You have West Virginia versus UCF. You have Kent State versus Toledo, Buffalo versus Massachusetts, Purdue versus Northwestern, Troy versus UL Monroe, SMU versus Clemson, Wyoming versus Air Force, UNLV versus Boise State, Coastal Carolina versus Appalachian State, or App State. You have Old Dominion versus James Madison. You have Texas State versus Marshall, Temple versus Charlotte, UTSA versus North Texas, Akron versus Ball State, Northern Illinois versus the University of Ohio, Mississippi State versus Florida, Southern Miss versus Louisiana, Penn State versus Iowa. You have Maryland versus UCLA, Hawaii versus Colorado State, Georgia State versus Georgia Southern, which was the game of intrigue. You have Nevada versus New Mexico, Lafayette versus Oregon State, and Florida State versus Stanford. So anyway, there you have it. That's what's left of the college games to be played. No additional analysis will be on those games. Just a quick word. We will be doing these live streams on Tuesdays for the remainder of college football season. We will cover the regular season games. We will do playoff games. We will do the bowl games. We will do the Army versus Navy game. And we will do these live streams on Tuesday of the week in question. And this will continue until, again, with the playoffs through the semifinals, where it'll be in this format. Once we get to the national championship game, we will do a national championship live stream, and that will be a different kind of format for that. But we will do that, and I'll let you know the times and everything and what's going on with that as soon as I know. The time in which these live streams take place on Tuesday may vary from week to week. Just know they will take place on Tuesdays. I just do not know what time they will start yet. Also, we will have other live streams where appropriate, and I will let you know and announce those on my dashboard as they come about. We will have different live streams. We may have some sports action live streams, and that will vary depending on the sport and depending on the day. And again, I'll let you know when that's going to be. So does anybody have any questions, comments regarding that? Again, I do apologize for the technical issues I had earlier that cut the stream when it was going in part 1. So the majority of it will be part 2. Just letting you know. If there's no questions, thank you for tuning in to this live stream today on Sports Law Media. It is greatly appreciated. If you will, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the notification bell so you can be made aware of when I'm doing these live streams, when I have sports action videos, when I have sports education videos, again, when I broadcast live, or when I have breaking news in the sports world. You can also subscribe to the channel, and it would be greatly appreciated if you did. You can do so in 2 ways. One, you can go to www.youtube.com, the slash symbol, the at symbol, SPORTSLOV. You can also go on the YouTube search tab and type in Sportslov Media. That's SPORTSLOV Media, MEDIA, and it's 2 words. You'll know it's me because I have Sportslov Media burned into a basketball as my avatar. I'm also on Twitter X, and my handle there is at BobAmin16. That is at symbol BOBAMIN 16. Thank you for tuning in to this college football live stream. I do greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Sportslov Media signing out. Have a wonderful day.